Welcome. In this tutorial I'm going to demonstrate a combined constructions drawing. You will find this drawing on page 45 of the Grade 8 Technology and Engineering Graphics and Design workbook. Before we start with a drawing like this, we need to understand what it is that we need to do. At the top right you will find a 2D schematic preview of our model. Let's read the question. Make use of the correct construction methods and copy the given model of a toy dragster, making use of the center lines provided. All constructions must be shown and all correct line types must be used. In our drawing space on the left, we will see two sets of construction lines, one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left represents the center of the two big wheels, and the one on the right the center of the smaller wheel. Start this drawing by labeling the center of our back wheel as O1. Also label the center of our front wheel as O2. Place your compass now at O1 and stretch it to a radius of 20 mm, which will represent the inside of the back wheel. Draw a solid circle. Place your compass once again at O1, stretch it to a radius of 50 mm and draw a solid circle that represents the outside of the back wheel. With the next dimension, we need to make a small calculation. We see on the schematic that the outside rim of our hubcap is 60 mm. Then there's a 5 mm gap between the outside edge and the inside edge of the hubcap. That means we will need to draw a radius of 55 mm for the inside hubcap. Therefore, we are going to place our compass at O1, stretch it to 55 mm and draw the inside of the hubcap. Now we need to draw the outside edge of the hubcap, which is a radius of 60 mm. Place your compass now at O1, stretch it to 60 mm and draw the outside edge of the hubcap. The next step is to place our compass at center point O2. Stretch it to a radius of 10 mm and draw a solid circle that represents the inside of the front wheel. Place your compass at O2 once more, stretch it to a radius of 25 mm as seen on the schematic, and draw a solid circle that represents the outside edge of our front wheel. The next step is to place our compass once again at O2, stretch it to a radius of 30 mm to draw the half circle that represents the inside of the hubcap of our front wheel. Also note that the half circle starts on the horizontal center line on both sides. The next step is to place your compass at O2 once more, stretch it to the full distance of 50 mm as shown in the schematic, and draw the front bonnet as shown here. Align your ruler with the horizontal center line of the front wheel and draw in the lowest end of the body of our car with a solid line. Also close the gap at the end of the car with a solid line. With the next step, we need to align our ruler with the horizontal center line of the back wheel. Also the set square with the vertical center line. In order to draw the vertical line of the canopy at the back, we need to make a small calculation. Look at the 2D schematic view and see that the front height of our canopy, which is the total height of the canopy, is 25 mm. The back end of the canopy is only 20 mm because we needed to deduct the 5 mm between the wheel and the hubcap. Therefore, we need to draw, as shown here, a solid line with a height of 20 mm. The next step is to measure 75 mm with our ruler from the back line of the canopy to the front end of the canopy. Draw a solid line as shown here, 75 mm in between. Now that we have determined the front and back end of our canopy, as well as the height of the canopy, we can place the roof. In order to place the roof, we need to halve the 75 millimeters, which is the total width of our canopy. This will give us 37.5 millimeters. From this, we will place a mark and measure 50 millimeters to the left and to the right. This will give us the total length of the roof, which is 100 millimeters. Then we will need to draw a height of 5 millimeters for the roof, as shown here. To complete the final stage of our drawing, we are required to construct a touch arc. On the 2D schematic preview, we see that the touch arc has a radius of 40 millimeters and that it reaches from the bottom end of the canopy to the outer edge of the bonnet. To start the construction, we need to place our compass at the bottom end of the canopy, stretch the compass to 40 millimeters and draw a light construction arc as shown here. With the next step, we need to make a small calculation. The touch arc is excluded from the bonnet and therefore we need to add the radiuses to one another. We need to take the radius of the bonnet, which is 50 millimeters, and the radius of the required touch arc, which is 40 millimeters, add them together, and then we have a total of 90 millimeters. Place your compass now at O2, stretch at 90 millimeters, and draw a light construction arc as shown here. This arc needs to intersect with the previous one, and this will create a new center point. Now, before we draw the final touch arc, we want to show where exactly the touch arc will meet with the bonnet, and therefore place your ruler at O2 and align it with the intersection as shown here, and draw a light construction line. Finally, we place our compass on the intersection and stretch it to a radius of 40 millimeters and draw the final solid arc. This will complete your construction. Congratulations! You have successfully completed the tutorial of a combined constructions drawing of page 45 of the Technology and Engineering Graphics and Design workbook.